Hello everyone, you're watching SK Live. I'm Indranil, and today we have a very special guest, Humaira Mushtaq. She's a racer and she's quite a driver. She's really making waves. Last year, she was all over the news. And thanks, Humaira, for joining us on SK Live. How have you been?
Thank you so much, Indranil, um, for having me on the show. I think it's a lot of this internet thing is a little disturbed. So,
Yeah,
yeah.
it's been an issue all throughout. This pandemic. We facing a lot of problems. We can't reach out to people that easily. We have to restrict ourselves to our homes all the time. So, how have you been? What's been happening? Where are you right now?
I'm in Jammu right now. So, yeah, I mean, that's I've been here for a while since the whole pandemic thing has started. So, yeah.
So last year when I heard your name, it was all about that you're the only racer from Jammu and Kashmir. So that put pressure on you as a performer, as a as a as a sports person?
I don't really feel anything unusual about it since I've been doing it for a very long time. So for me, it's like a normal thing. So yeah, I mean, it doesn't put any kind of a pressure or whatever.
So it's famously said it's not a game, it's a sport, and it's a motorsport. So a lot of
Yeah.
risk involved, and it's a male bastion, as we say, and women are not exactly. It's not their cup of tea, but you've taken this bold step forward by coming into this and doing so well for yourself. I mean, tell us how's it, being in this kind of a situation when a sport being dominated by men and you walk in there and making waves already. So what do you feel?
Well, I think it was for me it was a very organic thing. It wasn't something that I was put into. It wasn't something I was got into. It was something very organic. It really started when I was a very young child. So growing up, I mean, when I was about 3, 4 years old, 2, 3 years old, I would say, and I used to be obsessed with cars. So it was very unusual because I used to have all these cars and remote control cars and all these. Back then we had a Hot Wheel cars, the tiny ones, miniatures, and I was like obsessed with cars. I had the thing for cars, and I would collect them. And it was just that's how I felt I was inclined towards it. It was my first instinct. Later on, my parents knew that I was into these kind of things, so they got me a toy car. That was when I was about 3, 4 years old. I can't technically call it a car, but like it was a toy car. So I would really enjoy it around the house, swirling it through the like. And my parents told me that there was something very unusual about me as a toddler driving that kind of a car because I was actually very precise with the things. So I was like cutting through the furniture and all those little things that add on to later on. So my parents knew that I was into these kind of things. So it actually grew with me. So when I was about 4 or 5 years old, so my dad actually got me a cart. It was a custom made go-kart, so that you can use as a, like, it was a go-kart. So we had some place at the backyard of our house where we lived, and my dad kind of created a little cute mini kind of a go-karting situation, and it was like a go-karting track that he created for me. And I would use that cart, and I would learn how to drive and my racing line, everything. I learned it on that mini go-kart track at the back of my house back then. It's been a while. I mean, that's how it started, and eventually I grew out of that track as well. I mean, I needed a bigger space now. So I got into the world of go-karts and these road tags and all these go-karting things. So I would say I started pretty early. That's how it. I mean, something that you actually this thing, like if you take something that very young, it kind of grows out with you because you grow as well as that thing that you carry with yourself. It grows out with you. So I think this kind of thing has been very organic and it kind of grew with me. That's how I'd put it. And later on, I moved to single seaters and Formula racing.
Absolutely, absolutely, absolutely. And when you have this people trying to the family members coming and helping, it actually multiplies the enthusiasm, the love for the sport, it grows, as you said, the word organic. It helps you to grow better as a sports person, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. I think the majority of the role of me getting into this was played by my father.
Yeah.
I think when I was a little child, I mean, motorsport was not a very unusual name in the household because my dad was into racing. And we used to watch F1 and all these kind of things. So racing was something that we always were really happy to do. So my dad had really helped me through these things. And I mean, the fact that by the age of like this, the way that I started with the go-karting and then I moved to like, I was actually a driver at the age of 9, I would put it out. So at the
Okay.
age of 9, 10, I used to drive road cars. So I had memories of my father, sitting besides me, and when he would drop me to school and I would be the one driving the car to school. So like I think my father had played a major role in building my career, like this kind of like thing for the racing. So I think I owe a lot to him. And there's a lot of things that happened in between that really got me into this even more. I was like, if I go by how I started, I mean, I was by 11 to like when we lived abroad. So it was more easier for us to go to a track. And it was a very nice hobby because when I was younger, my dad would take me to a racing track. I mean, the go-karting tracks that we have around the house. So like he would pick up my stuff and my racing suit and a helmet, and he would go take me there and drop me. And it was a very routinely thing when I was very young, probably. Every Sunday we would do that. Eventually, I moved to India. So in India, I moved to Jammu and Kashmir. So that was like the crown part of the India, and we had no go-karting tracks anywhere around the whole country. I mean, anywhere around the whole zone. There were just two tracks. One was in Madras, and one was in Coimbatore, and it was like very unlikely for me to fly all the way from Jammu to the southern part every Sunday and come back.
Yeah.
So,
Kashmir to
um,
Kanyakumari. Almost.
yeah. So I think my dad had played a great role. I mean, he was the one who got me into this. So I think I owe a lot to him for these things.
Yeah, and then you lost your dad, and the way you came back, and you wanted to really do well because he had put in so much effort to make you a driver, get into motorsport with so much of passion. You've done really well, and you continue to do well. What a setback in 2020, isn't it, for for a
No, I
racer
want
like
to talk about I want to talk about the fact that you spoke about my father. I really didn't want to speak, but like now you've picked up the topic. I'll say yes. I lost my father when I was about 16 years old, 14 years. Like when I started driving, I was about like very young when I started with him. So eventually we moved to India. So I'm going to give you a whole review about how it is, so it won't. Uh, so once we moved to India, I was about like very young, so we didn't had a track around where we lived. So I mean, my kind of thing with the tracking got a little like I got to be more inclined, like academically inclined. So my parents thought like I would do racing, like just like every other child loves a certain sport. So you don't play a certain sport just to get into that kind of like you don't make it like a professional thing. You don't pick it up like that. So when I started, I always had this thing in my mind that I want to become a racing driver. And when I was 13, 14, I used to be like a very dangerous, skilled racing driver in my city. I mean, I used to pull all these kind of stunts, the drag racing, the burnouts, and the drifting and donuts. These were my things when I was very young. And when I was about like 14, 13, 14 years old, one of my relative went to my father and he told him that I saw your daughter, she's pulling all these kind of dangerous things at such a young age. So you should kind of control her or like kind of like stop her from doing these things. So my dad didn't knew that I used to do all those things. He knew that I used to drive and he was really supportive of that, but he didn't knew that I used to do all these things. So he's like, I have heard someone saying this to me. What are you doing? And I said, I don't do anything. I'm just like a normal racing, I was just doing a little drifting and donut. He's like, come on, show me. So we went inside, and my dad was on the passenger seat, and I was just taking him around, and I all did all everything like that. And he told me, he was actually, I was expecting that he will come and he might scold me because obviously, or he might confiscate the car. He comes to me and he says, "Wow, I'm pleasantly impressed. So today you proved that you are my daughter. So these were the things I used to do, and I can see that reflection coming through you. So I'm really happy. I'm surprised and I'm happy. And you know what? What I can say you as a father is, don't keep something that you have just to these roads. If you have this talent, just reach it out to the world. Just don't waste yourself on these streets or these places. You have to show it out to the world." And I was like, okay. So he's like, you know what, if you want to make a racing career, I can do the most I can is I can take you to a place where we'll have a racing track close by, and you can live there and you can do the trainings and everything if you really that's is sincere about serious about it. And that came as a shock to me because I wasn't expecting that kind of a reaction from my father initially. And it was like, okay, fine. So you were just planning to you know, move our places because of this. And suddenly, he he expired. So
Yeah.
that came as a shock to me. Um, I was in a state of depression for a very long time because it was very sudden. I wasn't expecting, it was like one day there's someone to tuck you into bed and just wish you good night, and who's so passionate just in the things that you carry, and he's so supportive of it. And the second day he's not there, so it was like, I was in denial. I didn't want to accept the fact that he's not there.
Yeah.
So I mean, that kind of got me out of this, and then I just stopped racing. I stopped watching F1. I think for the longest I didn't watch race because I couldn't think of anything that would bring me his memory. So it was that like that. And sometimes it's so hard. It takes time for your heart to accept what your brain already knows. So I mean, as time passed, and I was in a very dark page. So at that time, my mom really played a big role, and she kind of took me out of that phase. And she was like, you know what, if you are really in love with your father, you love him, don't feel bad. I mean, just go make him proud. That's the best you can do. So I went this time. I was like, you know what, Ma, because those were the last words of my father to me, and I was like, this time I'm coming back, and you know what, this time I'll be stronger than the time when I left. So this time I came, and ever since then I've been on this path.
No, you're a brave person. There's no two ways about it. And people generally, they chicken out. They just not there in the scene. You just stood there, and thanks to your mom, you're doing so well. But 2020, we all need to move on, as we know. But don't never forget what we have lost and what we have forever. We also have the memories of your dad, which you'll always have with you forever as long as you live. But coming to 2020, it was a very, very bad year as well for the entire nation, entire world. So how challenging was it for you as a sports, as a motorsport participant? There was no race happening. This is no race happening even this year. It's almost over. So how challenging was it in sitting at home and trying to control your instincts and all that?
I mean, for the longest, I mean, I think this is the longest thing that has ever kept me in one place, because I'm a kind of person who can't stay in one place for more than 3 minutes, and I've been stuck in a place for about 7 months, 8 months almost. So I think it's a very strange thing, but can be done. I remember we were just like planning for the next season to come up, and just waiting for the races and everything, I mean, everything's going fine. And all of a sudden there was this situation, and for the most I was like, you know what, this might get better next month. May will be fine. June will be fine. June, July, August. It just kept on extending, and now I mean, you don't have a choice what you can do, but that's the most you can do. I mean, of course, now things are getting better. There were races that were held. I mean, all these Formula One and Formula E races without the spectator, but they're coming back to where they left. So yeah, I mean, But look, not much can be done about it. So yeah, that was the smartest way to stay at home. So it was the best thing we could do.
Yeah. Humaira, you're also a very good dentist. So did you put your skills into practice in this lockdown?
Oh my God, my dentist is another story. I never wanted to become a doctor. I never wanted to become a dentist. It was like something that really happened accidentally, to be honest. Um, Basically, what happened was that I was so determined to become a racing driver that my mom was a bit scared because of the fact that, it was not a very conventional or a very mainstream career or something that could guarantee a job. So she was like, I don't know. I mean, I'm not going to stop you from doing what you want to do. But the thing is, like, you really need a real job to sustain. Like, what are you talking? So you're making a career, like making a career solely in motorsports is not the she shouldn't felt it was conventional thing to do. So she was like, you know what, I will sponsor your entire career, because I wanted her assistance. I needed her to sponsor my career, my racing expenses, because expensive. I mean, racing is very extremely expensive. You unless you have like you feel, I mean, you need a lot of money to do that. So I was like, you know what, mom, I need your help in order to sponsor my initial years of career. And she was like, you know what, I will do it if you promise to study well and you make it to the med school. And that was a very strange thing. And I remember I never wanted to become a doctor, and there was last few months left to my entrance exam. And oh my God, I studied like crazy, because I didn't study because I wanted to become a doctor. I studied because I wanted to become a racer, because that's what my mom promised me. And I remember I studied like anything, and and as eventually I could make it to the school of dentistry. And the second thing I did was like, Mom, let's go to the track. That's what you said. And we booked the tickets and we just went back. And I mean, this is a very accidental thing, to be honest. I mean, I don't know how it happened. I mean, that's how it is.
But tell me something. How is it to be in a sport dominated by men? So it must be very challenging for a young lady to go out there and do your stuff. I know how it could be nasty also at times, and how you manage to keep it. And you just the journey has just started. You have so how I mean how do you see this? I mean this sport being dominated by men and so much, and young people like you, young women like you coming and making a mark already. So how do you see this challenge?
Well, for me, it was like, I'm a kind of person. If I go by the nature, I like things that challenge me. So for me, I don't see this as a man-dominated world. I just see it that I mean, there have been no much women in this sport, so you cannot. I mean, I don't feel any different. For me, I feel like this is a very usual thing for me, because I've been doing it for a very long time. So, I mean, definitely it is a men-dominated world, and I think a lot has to be done with the system, because now people perceive this as a men-dominated world, though it's not, because it's nowhere written that a woman can't race. So I really don't see the point of people claiming this to be like overly dominated by men, because I personally don't feel like women can be a part of this as well. And I remember when I was younger, there was no F1 driver in the world. I mean, no female F1 driver in the world. And that was kind of a weird thing for me. I mean, I grew up watching Michael Schumacher. He was my racing legend. And I really felt the need that there should be women in the sport. I mean, that's how I feel. But yeah, I mean, of course, it is men dominated, and you get a fair share of sexism in this sport. I will tell you, I have been a victim of sexism and extreme patriarchy as well. So I know how things are here. So yes, I mean, the thing that can be blamed is the system, is how people have received it over years. So yeah, I mean, of course, it has. I mean, there was a white guy, and he happened to be one of my principal. And you can say that, we always say brown society is a little men dominated, but he was a white guy. You may not be taken seriously. So you
Yeah.
need to be, you need to have a really thick skin for these kind of things. And even my mom told me, even my mom, when I told her that I want to race, and she's like, I don't know if this is the best. May you do well, but I'm going to tell you one thing. You have to be very strong. because you have chosen a very non-mainstream career, and people not are not used to seeing these kind of things coming from a female, especially the ones from like Jammu and Kashmir. You come from that place, so you have to be very strong, and you have to be very thick-skinned. It's not going to be a garden you go and you can walk by. There's going to be bushes. There's going to be thorns. There's going to be like a lot of things going on, so you have to make your way. So I think I have been very strong. For me, it's nothing like I don't feel it men dominated.
Absolutely, and it was so inspiring for all of us who love and enjoy motorsport. When F1 came to our nation, it happened for two years or so, and it stopped happening. I mean, do you see F1 coming back to India ever in future? You want to see? I mean, of course you want to see, but do you see it in reality? It can come back. It's an expensive sport, as you rightly said.
Yeah, I mean, I would love to have. I would love to see F1 race happening in India. I think it was so refreshing. It just happened for 2 years in this beautiful track called the IC. But yeah, I mean, we do see it coming back soon. But like tax is the problem, so um, I can't say much about it. But all I can say is I want it to have work. I
Absolutely,
want it to happen.
absolutely, and it was such a great thing for our country, for our nation, when so many drivers came from all over the world. It was sort of a
Yeah.
celebration more than anything else. But tell me something. I mean, you are also quite your skill wise, you're very rich. So, and you have lot of your, I mean, what's your strength? What's your weakness as a driver? Can you just tell us that?
See, as a driver, I think what I have realized down the line is not the speed that you carry.
Okay.
First of all, there are a lot of things. There's not one thing you can pinpoint that makes you a good driver. I'm talking about driving on the track, not on a road car. On a track, it's a different world. On a road, in a road car, it's a different world. So on a track, you have to be, first of all, you have to be extremely strong. I'm talking about the strength that you carry in your arms, in your limbs, your legs, everything. Your core has to be strong. And I cannot emphasize how strong your neck muscles have to be, because the amount of G-force that you have to experience during a race is like you can't even like put it in words. And if you're having a weak body or like a weak torso or weak neck, you cannot sustain that kind of a pressure, because I've seen so many drivers who are so good, they know everything, and but they're like, you know what, we can't drive a Formula car because it's so like it puts too much pressure, we cannot sustain that kind of a pressure. So it's like you need to be extremely strong, and that is the just the physical attributes that requires you to become, be a good driver on the track. The most fundamental quality that really determines whether you are going to win a race or whether you are a good driver is your mental capacitance. And I cannot tell you how many times have I felt this thing lacking in one of few drivers. I mean, it's not how you start the race, it's about how you end the race. I've seen so many phenomenal drivers, they start very well, beautiful pace, but they cannot sustain that kind of pace for a very long time. So yeah, I mean, after a while, the clarity and the mental focus kind of started decline, and they're not able to compete. They come like may last five, they're competing last five and started so well. So it's all about like how strong you are mentally. How long can you sustain that kind of enthusiasm that you had when you started the race? That kind of thing is really important. If you have that kind of thing, I think you're a phenomenal driver. Nothing can stop you. But if you just like if you cannot sustain that kind of an energy, I think that there's no point. That's how it is. I mean, that's how every race is, and of course,
Life is a
yeah,
race.
that's
Life
how it
is a
is.
race.
I remember once I'm sorry.
Life is a race.
I
I mean,
remember once I was racing, and all of a sudden, I'm sorry, I can't hear you.
no, I'm saying life is a race, and you were saying about once you were racing, what happened? You were telling us a story.
Yeah, I was talking about the timing. I mean, the timing that we have to. Once my belt came off, one of the belt just came off, snapped out, and I lost 4 seconds. Like this is how important, everything. I just looked down, like, what happened, and there was like I was 4 seconds away. So it's like that's how important it is for you to be very focused and take decisions at the right time. So yeah, I mean it's different. On roads, I'm very careful. I don't drive fast. I mean, I used to drive when I was younger. I mean, I used to be a dangerous driver, but now I'm like a very tame driver now because I know you can't be lucky all the time. So now on the roads, I'm very extremely careful and cautious.
So are you an
That's how it is.
instinctive driver? Are you an instinctive driver, or a very cautious and thinking driver?
I think you're talking about the track
Yes, when you're on the
because I
track,
have two
I know
personalities. No, because I have two personalities.
okay.
When I'm on the track, I'm a different person. When I'm on a road, I'm a different person. On a track, I'm like extremely instinctive because you don't know what's going to happen next time, next moment. You don't know, so you have to be prepared for whatever is coming your way. And in roads, and you have to be extremely fast at the same time. There's so many things, you have to endure so many things. You have to drive fast. You have to be careful, and then at the same time, you have to be fast. So I mean, there's a lot of things. And on road car, I'm a bit cautious. I drive nicely. I drive slow. I'm very patient with whatever I do, the moves, everything. So yeah, I'm a pretty like that's how it is.
Who is your favorite driver?
Oh my God. I grew up watching Michael Schumacher. I think he was the most phenomenal driver I've ever seen. And I used to be 7 years old and I was obsessed with F1. I remember watching him and I couldn't sit and watch him. Like, back then we didn't have these DRS. So the overtaking used to be a real fun. So Michael was a pure magic on the track. I mean, I've never seen that kind of thing. Now the racing things have also changed. I mean, we have DRS, all the rules and everything. But back then, I used to watch Michael as one of the most, like something I always looked up to him, and I was like, you know what? I always looked up to him as a great driver. Now I think Michael Schumacher is phenomenal, and now of course we have Lewis Hamilton. So yeah, I like Lewis Hamilton as well. But like Michael has a separate set of respect for me from my side. Like I really respect him as a person,
Everyone's
as
side,
a
I
racer
think.
he was.
I think Humaira, it's from everyone's side. He's the most respected driver we have. We still have. We just
Yeah.
respect him what he do as a performer. He performed probably in every time he was on the wheel. He was phenomenal. What a loss! What a loss to
Yeah.
that he's not there on the track. And so, but
Yeah.
coming to the other sports. Do you follow any other sport other than motorsport?
Well, I think all the sports are good. I think they're all like unique in their way. I watch everyone almost. I think it's good. But I love wrestling. Basically, my brother, he's a pro wrestler. He's a boxer. So
Wow.
I like those things. I watch wrestling. I watch a lot of boxing because of him. I mean, as we grew together as siblings, we kind of had interest in each other's sport a little bit. So yeah, I do watch that.
And it's. I mean, you have any other sports person apart from Michael Schumacher? Who's really impressed you over the years? You followed that sports person in India or abroad. Any such name coming to your mind?
Um, I mean, yeah, I mean, nothing in particular. I think I was like, I mean, you want to ask me about the ones from the racing or like in general?
Outside racing, from other sports.
I think Cristiano Ronaldo is doing a great job. So yeah,
Yeah.
I think yeah.
You
I
follow
am not the
football,
best person to ask. Yeah, he's doing a great job. He's a good
but
footballer.
you
Yeah.
you follow football a little bit.
Yeah, I do. As I said, I like every sport. I like every kind. I like all kind of sport, to be honest. I think all are good. They're all unique in their way, so I don't really pick and choose which one is good or not. But yeah, racing is something I take seriously because it's my own thing. But other sports, I'm just good with it, and of course, I do. Yeah.
So when do you see racing starting all over again in India? Probably next year. But do you have any hunch? Any have you been given any fillers that it might probably start early next year, or later next year, or middle of next year? Any indications you're getting?
Well, the majority of the races all over the world have already started, and they're happening like without the spectators, obviously. So I think they're going to be continuing without the spectator for until things really start to get better. In India, I wish it gets better, but the entire season was called off. There was pretty much no race, and now we got no, we really didn't get any kind of indication from the people. So yeah, I mean, I think it will be taking off very soon.
No, I hope so, because a lot of people are struggling, because there's no sport happening. It's a huge. This is one sector I think is massively affected because of the pandemic. Sports, of course, tourism is also there.
I lost
But
your voice. I lost your voice.
I'm saying, Humaira, that
I think I lost your voice.
Can you hear me? Can you hear me?
Yeah, now I can.
I'm saying sports is the worst affected sector.
Yeah, I can.
I'm saying sports is one of the most affected sectors.
Oh no, I can't. I can't hear you. Yeah.
I'm saying sports is the most affected sectors in this pandemic. And what are your thoughts on it? Can you hear me? Can you hear me? I can hear you.
I can't hear you.
I'm saying sports is one of the
Yeah, now
most.
can you repeat what you're?
I'm saying the sports is the sports is the most affected sectors in this pandemic. So what are your thoughts?
I mean, absolutely, sports are the most affected things because it's one of the most. This industry is it majorly runs on the people who come to spectate it. So if there are no spectators watching it in the stadiums, I mean, the stadiums are completely empty and the tracks are completely empty. There's no one watching you through the grandstand. I mean, of course, it's going to make the sport suffer a lot because now, I mean, this is how the things are. Entertainment world is. It's all about like how many people come and watch you, and that's how they run this kind of a business. So yeah, of course, I mean, it has majorly affected it to a greater extent.
It's sort of quite sad.
And it's quite global. So.
Yeah, absolutely. So, before we let you go, we want to hear one untold story which really changed your life as a driver, from your life, which you're going to carry it for the rest of your life, something which inspired you and sort of helped you, pushed you to move forward, and very convincingly, something you remember each and every moment of your life and makes you happy. What is that untold story? If you have any, please share with us.
I think I've spoken a lot about where I come from and what I did and everything about my family, because I think my family played a greater role in me because I have been a very emotional person after my dad's after my dad's death. It changed me a lot. So I remember I mean, this is like a story that I have. I mean, how I lost my father and everything just stopped for me. Everything just changed for me. It changed me into a better human being. I became a more responsible person. I got more braver with my decisions. I got more stronger with my decisions. I remember I used to be this kind of a child who would pull these kind of things on the road. Now I don't no longer do it. Now I do it on the tracks. Like it kind of made me a very responsible human being. Also, the fact that my journey has always been met with like mixed reactions. So there was a thing that happened with me, and this is what I would call it as a patriarchal side of motorsports. Um, I think the fact that I mean, I have a story to say, but I don't want to say. I don't know if I feel comfortable talking about it, but
it's okay. I mean, you don't have to say something which will really break you down, because you're showing great courage as a driver, and unfortunately, 2020 wasn't the year we would ever would have dreamt in our worst of nightmares. but it all happened. We all have emerged stronger. We all emerge stronger of every incident which happens in our life. That's how we
Yeah,
grow.
I have an incident. Actually, you were asking me about the whole. I'm sorry, I'm cutting you, but you were asking me the thing that really changed me. Now I'm going to tell
Yeah.
you what happened. Actually, once I was racing, and I was on a new track. So when you are in a new track and you see a new car in front of you, it takes you time to get acclimatized to the track and the car. So like I remember I was like in this new track, and like I was just a complete foreign to the place. So I took a track walk, and I took the track walk around the track, and there were people over there. So they actually looked at me in a way, I mean, they were amused by me, and they were actually taking me not seriously. I mean, as a joke, they thought that I was here just for like, why was I even here? So
Yeah,
they were
yeah,
like,
yeah.
oh my, yeah, I mean, this is something that I faced. And I was like, yeah, I'm here because I want to race. I mean, why? And they're like, okay, fine. I mean, they were just taking me as a joke. So I took it round around the track. I remember I came back, and the next thing I was in the car. So I took like few laps, got acclimatized to the car and the input and everything, how much I was giving it. I mean, you need to know the car obviously, because people are going to say you so many different things. Or this is trail brake, this is that. But once you're in the car, you really need to know what is like. You need to learn the thing. It is your best friend. You cannot like put anything out there and expect it to be the way you want. So you have to be very manipulative with your actions. So I remember I took the track walk. I came back. I took the drive around the track. I came back, and that was the time when I clocked the fastest timing. That was my first time in the first car in a fresh track, and people were actually surprised to see me, and I saw a kind of astonishment on the faces of people. They were just looking at me just like, how was this possible? So they were like, the guy was timing me. There was a guy who was timing me, and he was like, he wasn't believed. No one was believing him. They thought this was like a scam. Like they didn't believe him. So they were like, no, this cannot be possible. You're just a new person to the track, and you have clocked the fastest timing. You've been here for so many years, and you this cannot be a thing for real. And up until I had this app in my phone that had all my records, I mean, how much distance I covered and my fastest lap and my everything. So that time when I showed them the results in the phone, that they believed it. So this really changed me as a person, because I kind of felt like, you know what, if I can bring that kind of a change, because I could see that face changing, the people who completely changed, I mean, the way they were saying before and what they were saying later on. So this kind of really strengthened me, and also showed me the side, how people can be outside once you step out of your home, how people are and how you have to be with them. So I think this was one of this story, and this was one of the event that really strengthened me as a person, and I completely think it's taken me a long way. So yeah,
Absolutely.
ever since then I've been learning.
And you're doing so well for yourself, and you have such a bright future ahead of you, and we wish you all the best for that, with that. And that's all the viewers who have joined in. One more thing is important, which Humaira just pointed out. You have to come out of your comfort zone. You want to do something different and do something strong, something memorable in life. You can't stay inside that comfort zone all the time. You have to step out and you know head on. Head on. I mean, head on, and accept the challenge, embrace challenge, and that's what you're going to be. And Humaira, you're setting right example. Really, I mean, very inspirational, inspiring your entire journey so far. Yet it's just started, and lot will happen in days to come. We wish you all the best. Thanks a lot for coming on
Thank you so much.
SK Live. It was really a pleasure having you. And a lot of people are saying a lot of good things. You're writing good, and how brave you are. We just
Thank
continue to
you
do
so
what we're doing, and we wish you all the best. Stay safe and stay happy. That's important.
Thank you. Same to you. Thank you so much, Indranil. Thank
Thank you.
you.
Thank you.